Wilkinson's Australian Open.
Oh, that's a beauty. Oh, what an athlete!
Oh, we've got it messed up right off the bat. Welcome to The Slice, everybody. Welcome to a live show with special guests here, the Game to Love brothers, the boys from Game to Love, Ben and JG. Welcome to The Slice again, folks.
How you doing, Steve? Great to
thanks for having us on.
Yeah, we're doing good. Happy to have you guys here. I know you guys, if you guys are watching The Slice and you don't know who the Game to Love guys are, you probably missed our tons of previous announcements. We've done lots of stuff together. They got their own YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to them. And in this video, guys, we're going to be talking about the WTA draw, breaking it down. I did the men's 2 days ago without you guys, but yeah. Before we get into your thoughts about the WTA draw, I'm just going to address what people are going to be asking about for sure. Is why aren't we doing a live about the Djokovic drama? I don't know. Maybe because you guys have done probably 10 hours of lives with that in the last week. So
I think I can answer that one straight off the bat. The reason we're not doing Novak Djokovic is we've done it to the death, and we are done with it. I'm here with a beer, and I'm looking to enjoy myself and talk about some of the women's tennis, which I think right now is in the best place it's been, sort of since Serena Williams was sort of dominating that rivalry with Sharapova as well. I think right now we're in an exciting time. And sort of the new breed coming through, we have a lot to say about for sure.
Good. Yeah, I agree. I think it's more, it's always been since I started covering tennis, in 2017, 18, it's always been very unpredictable who the WTA winners is going to be in any major. And we've had a ton of different winners. But yeah, I think with the stars that are kind of, brewing, especially, our Canada's Leylah, Fernandez, your guys' Emma Raducanu that we just saw in the US Open, which was absolutely incredible. Yeah, it is an extremely exciting place to be in women's tennis right now, and I think everyone agrees like that. I don't know how many people you could count on one hand or count up as a contender for, say, the Australian Open, but in the men's there's probably really three. Djokovic is supported really, 2 or 3. But,
I don't know. You can make a case for Rafa. We can put Rafa in number 4.
yeah, that's true.
That's true. To slip him in there, whichever podcast it is. Doesn't matter, does it? I think it's really exciting, though. The big thing about the women's game is the amount of young talent that there is. We know there's a lot in the men's, but everybody inside the top 10 is under 30 as well, which is such a great thing to see. And we don't even know if the winners of big tournaments will even come from the top 10 either. And that's the beauty of the women's game in a way. Every match is competitive. And I think we even looked down it on our podcast the other day. You go all the way down, even to 30s or 40s, and so much talent in the women's game right now. It's literally unbelievable.
Yeah, it's super exciting, and it makes it better because there's times when it was Serena Williams was dominating, so it's just it's kind of almost like the men's in a way now. It's is Serena Williams going to lose, or it's is Djokovic going to lose? That was the only question that had to be asked in the tournament. It was now it's just mayhem could be had with the seeds, or we could see the runs of I think Ash Barty, obviously looks super solid at home, and she's one of the big. But there's lots of contenders, like you guys said, and the talent pool runs deep. Our main topic of conversation today, though, is going to be Leylah Fernandez and Emma Raducanu. I don't think the three of us haven't chatted since the US Open, but I still have to pinch myself every time and just think about how insane it was that those two girls were in the final to start with, and that Emma Raducanu as a qualifier won the US Open. Can I just get another rehash of what it was like for you guys as in England and Britain?
Yeah, it's a complete fairy tale. No one thought it was possible. I remember we was doing all the streams covering every sort of Raducanu match, and everyone in the sort of preview before the match started, I said, I think, Ben, she's played well up to this point. This is where she's going out. And I said it every single time, I think, until it might have been the semi-final. I thought, you know what? She's winning it now. She's winning the whole thing. Yeah. Because she wasn't just winning. It was the nature on how she was winning. She was winning everything in straight sets. There were comfortable matches. I think Sorribes Tormo was a bagel and a breadstick or 2 breadsticks. It was just crazy. She was wiping people off the court.
Not even one tie break as well in the whole time that she played, even in qualification, knocking out people. Well, we thought when she faced Sharif in the final round of qualifying, whoa, Sharif, she's actually a bit of a beast, the Egyptian, and she can really hit hard. And we thought if she gets past that, she'll be stoked to get into the main draw. Imagine that. She's in the main draw after that Wimbledon thing. We didn't even foresee that she would go on that run. No one did. I mean, it was quite, I had to pinch myself. I couldn't quite believe that she got that far. And then as soon as we had those two girls in the semi-finals with Fernandez and the other one, Raducanu, I think it was just written in the stars, mate.
Yeah. It was, like it's, have you guys had this where you're trying to explain, like probably your friends who don't, they know you guys do a YouTube channel, they don't follow tennis. They're like, hey, our British girl run. And you're like, no. It's not just like, she didn't just like win. It wasn't like, it's not a normal thing. Like you got to just like, this is actually the most unnormal winner of all time in like tennis history. Like
it was the most popular topic of conversation in the UK at the time. I had so many friends who necessarily don't really like tennis too much. They're more football fans. They're asking me about Raducanu. And they're sort of talking as if, oh yeah, she's this big star who's been around for ages. I don't think people realize she sort of come from nowhere. We did talk about her on a few podcasts before. We covered her actually in the Challenger final against Clara Towson just before we did a watch along of that. Which she did lose. And nothing was sort of pointing towards the fact that she could have a run at the US Open. We joked about it, and she was our qualifier to watch. We thought if she can get through to the qualifiers and maybe get through a round, what a great achievement. But to win it in straight sets is remarkable.
Yeah, it's insane. It would be the equivalent of like on the men's side, like Holger Rune at the US Open, who's a friend of the show, getting qualifying and then winning it somehow. You'd be absolutely floored. So yeah, it's crazy. And in Canada, it's been like a similar kind of vibe, like not as big because obviously Leylah didn't win. And the crazy thing is we actually had Bianca Andreescu in 2019. I don't know if you guys' channel was it started in 2019?
Not really, but this is the sort of time when I met Ben and we was talking about tennis. So obviously we worked together, for those who don't know. And just in work, Bianca Andreescu was a big talking point a lot of the time. And that sort of led us to creating a channel. And then it went from there. Yeah.
So like Canada had that experience of Bianca. Like I think she had already won Indian Wells that year. So she was definitely more well-known than Raducanu, but still to go through and then beat Serena Williams in the final, it was insane. So Canada's had this kind of, and Britain's like an older tennis nation. Like you guys have been pretty good on the world stage for a long time, maybe not as recently and maybe a bit of a rehash. Well, you've had Andy Murray, but Canada's kind of, this is like the first time, like 5 years ago, it would be unthinkable to have anyone in the Grand Slam final. Maybe like 10 years ago, it would be unthinkable because we had Milos, but shout out Milos and Bouchard. But you know what I mean? It was crazy. Anyway, so we had like, just tons of conversations about Leylah. Now she's our biggest, like probably bigger star than Bianca because Bianca can't seem to get on a tennis court, unfortunately. So let's look at their draws. And I want to get your guys' opinions on what do you think their real chances are? Because like, Emma Raducanu won the U.S. Open. Still hard to believe. Still, I feel like I'm like saying something that didn't happen. She won the U.S. Open, so people are like, "Oh, she's gonna be the favorite to win the Australian Open."
No, it just doesn't work like that.
Well, we've seen all the bookies. So the bookies in I think Sky Bet is a big one. They've been going crazy since the back end of last year of her winning a slam. It is just a bit over the top, but I can understand the hype. Me and Ben have had so many arguments really and debates on the channel talking about Raducanu. He, more notably at the start, was a bit more encouraged by what he saw. I was, even on the final, a little bit more negative. I actually supported, say, Leylah Fernandez in that final, which some people find quite surprising. There's something about her which I've just warmed to, and it's the whole team and fighting spirit. I love her style of play. She moves around the court so well. And I think the players she was able to beat, for me, was a lot more impressive. I know Raducanu beat players a lot more easier, but the difference with Leylah Fernandez, she played the very best. And you've got Grand Slam champions here. You've got Kerber she beat. She beat Osaka as well. Sabalenka and Svitolina, all in sort of 3 sets. And I love, for those who don't know, I'm a big Rafa fan. I love a fighter. And for her, I see a real sort of fighting spirit and something a bit different. And a lefty as well. There is some, and the Babolat racket.
Oh, amazing lefty forehand. It's so sneaky. She takes that pace and throws it back like with like this angles that people aren't used to playing a lefty. That's great. So you're right. The route that she went through at the US Open was arguably crazier. Like it was harder than Raducanu's, each match was like, oh, this is like a massive David and Goliath moment. And then she just kept coming through in like the same fashion. It was always like close match, but then she wasn't the one who got tight. So let's look at her actual route right now. Well, let's just take a look at the draw in general here.
Yeah, I was going to say, Stephen, just before you, like, everybody rules out, everybody talks about the Osaka, the Kerber, the Svitolina, the Sabalenka in that run. But no one ever mentions the first 2 rounds, which were really, really difficult. Anna Cunha in the first round and Kai Kanepi in the second round in straight sets. They are very great players too that Leylah Fernandez beat in that run. All of them that up from that moment on just got harder and harder. And it just seemed that those were nothing players almost.
Yeah. It's because Anna Cunha's lower ranked and people don't necessarily watch much of her, but she can be a real giant slayer. And Anna, well, we don't have to say much about Kanepi. She's been around for a while. She's got bundles of experience, and she's definitely capable of taking out a big seed as well. So that's what I'm saying. If you put it all together as a collective, what Leylah Fernandez did, she won my heart. She definitely won my heart, and I'm hooked on her ever since.
Good, yeah, and I think that's why Canadians, and she like had the New York in the palm of her hand by the end of that. She was like in her runner-up speech, she was like, you guys are so strong with the after 9/11 and all that stuff, and they were loving. My saying was, Leylah runs New York, like she officially runs New York from now on.
Statue of Liberty, isn't she?
Basically, she does her little like. It's almost like, I don't want to say cute, like that might be like disrespectful, but it's like it seems like it is. It's like it's so powerful. Like she's a small girl and she's so powerful. It's just amazing. And like the route she came through was insane. And it's actually kind of similar in this tournament if you think about it. So here she is in the draw. Another Canadian, actually, Rebecca Marino, for many who don't know, qualifier. She's like almost 30 years old, I think. She's a bit older, and she's been in the game, gone away, actually with some mental health time away from the game, and then come back. And she's, doing pretty well. She's had some good results at the end of last year and qualified for the main draw. So that's great. But yeah, Leylah's, I'll just show it here. Leylah's route to the final is this. We got a little graphic here. Inglis to start, wild card Australian, so that's going to be a good Aussie Canadian battle, and then Caroline Garcia potentially, or Haley Baptiste. Both of those are good, but then it goes. You got Kerber, potentially Sabalenka. So those are 2 of the people that she beat at the U.S. Open. But it's another extremely. If this was to be the case, like round 3, round 4, quarterfinal, semifinal, that's an insane run, right? Kerber, Sabalenka, Swiatek, Muguruza, Barty, like
tough.
Listen, it is tough, but let me try my best to make this not sound tough.
Go on.
The first 2 rounds, I feel confident enough that she can do it if she's performing at her best. I don't want to be disrespectful to them too, but that's just how I feel. Third round, Kerber, we've not seen this year as far as I'm aware. She's obviously getting older as well. We don't know what level Kerber's gonna give. She's been a bit inconsistent. She was world number 1 for all that time, one of the best players in the world, if not the best in her time, and then sort of dipped and then come back again last year and had a good spell. I don't know what to expect from her. She could maybe not make it as well. Because
she hasn't played this year yet. So.
Yeah, that's what I said at the start. So we've got also Kanepi, who could be there as well. Someone she's also beaten. And sort of moving down sort of round 4. Sabalenka right now started the year terribly. I don't think she'll even make it that far, if I'm honest. I think Vondrousova most likely will get there, knock her out. So getting up to that point is feasible. She can do that. I believe a lot in her. The questions are going to be asked when she gets to the sort of quarterfinal. I say when, if she can get to the quarterfinal, because you've got
the attitude.
You've got to get past Iga Swiatek, and that's going to be one watch I think is going to be tough.
Very tough. I mean,
them last 3 doesn't get tougher right now.
Yeah. And this is the one thing that I sort of wanted to speak about. I mean, that was the one matchup which I knew that we were going to come across. We knew we were going to have to cover. We covered it recently on Game to Love. We did a watch along for it. And even though Fernandez looked great against Alexandrova in her first match of 2022, I thought she looked incredible. She was fast around the court, hitting winners.
Yeah.
When she came up against the big hit in Iga, it was one-way traffic, and Iga is an absolute beast. She just took it to her, and I just worry for someone like Fernandez against someone so powerful playing their best game. That's my big fear for Leylah Fernandez.
Yeah,
because she needs a drop in form or a drop in like level from the opponent, and we know what Iga's like. We saw her when she won the French Open. If she hits clean, I don't think many people beat her on the tour.
Yeah, that's true. And I think like another big topic for Raducanu is going to be like, obviously things have changed so much since when she was going through the US Open. She had zero expectation on her every single match. She could play free. We all know this story. And it's funny how we know this story because we've seen it with other champions like her first round opponent, Sloane Stephens. She won the US Open and hasn't done anything since. Ostapenko, Madison Keys. It's crazy how many girls have gone through this, but it doesn't change the fact that it's going to happen. Once you become arguably tennis's biggest star now, Raducanu, most popular player maybe on the women's game, you just now are watched on every single match, and you can't get that out of your mind. And I don't think Leylah maybe should have that as much because she was already putting out results in 2021 earlier in the year. She actually won a tournament, and so it's not like, it's kind of confusing in another way because she wasn't like dominating at all, and then she just dominated. So that's kind of different, but she's a bit more experienced on tour than Raducanu, a bit more mature in that way, even though she's super young. But maybe it's like in this, because it's not like, Swiatek obviously crushes the ball, but she beat Osaka at the US Open. She beat some pretty big hitters, Sabalenka from the ground. So it's not like she can't handle big hitters. I just think she has more. I don't know what her mind is doing in the match with Swiatek, like in Adelaide. I actually didn't get to watch that match live, but
I thought the strategy was all wrong. That was my personal opinion. Okay. I think if she had the right strategy, she might have done a lot better, but it seemed that when she was losing, she didn't make any adjustments. She kept playing the same way, and you can't really do that when Iga was sort of just timing everything. Knew where she was going to hit the ball and just had the anticipation, was swatting them away. So it was a bit sad to see because it's not the same Leylah we're used to seeing.
It's sad on one hand, but I think it's really good on the other because you learn a lot more from your defeats sometimes. And I think Leylah in that situation is going to learn so much. Someone I don't think she's played before, Iga, as well. I remember when we were doing the head-to-head. So it is a great lesson, and someone similar age as well, young player on tour. Great to get that sort of in the locker.
Yeah, totally. And if you're going to lose like that, better to do it at the Adelaide International than no offense to the Adelaide International than the Australian Open. So, so I think, I don't know, personally, I think Leylah's chances of getting to the final, very slim, but I would have said the exact same thing, maybe even more harshly at the US Open. So I'm going to back her in the first, even 3 matches. I honestly, like against Kerber. Now it's like Kerber's quite, she's older now, and I just saw how Leylah did it at the US Open, so it's a winnable match for her. They're all winnable, but it's going to be fun to see. And I don't want to be like that media. The Canadian media is not as crazy by any means as the British media. So part of Raducanu's probably problem is that you guys are so insane over her. Not game to love. You guys are cool, but like there's so much pressure on her. They're like, well, okay, now you're going to win like 20 slams. It's like in Canada, I think we just are understanding that Leylah had an amazing run, and we're going to hope that she has an amazing run, but I hope she can play with less kind of pressure. But anyways, that's it.
Definitely.
So let's let's move over to Raducanu's, and I'll have to scroll up. I forgot the number. Well, I had the number of but now I don't.
Well, which number is she in the draw? She's number 88 in the draw if you need the actual where she is.
Yeah, I can't see it on the edge there. But anyways, I got this. I'll find it in a second here. I got this. Is her route to the final.
Yeah.
And it's stinky as well, isn't it? What do you guys think?
Well, listen, I know we just spoke about Leylah Fernandez as well, and you said she'll be you fancy her for sort of the first 3 rounds. I fancy her for a little bit more. I think she can make the quarters, and that's why I'm sort of tipping her right now. Emma Raducanu, on the other hand, I think it's going to be a really tougher battle, and this is a really difficult draw. The reason I say that is because Emma has not filled me with much confidence since the US Open.
Right.
She's not really played a good match since. A few wins in there, but a lot of them have been pretty disappointing losses. That most recent one against Raducanu, was it a bagel and a 6-1?
Yeah.
It's just a bit poor. And I know there's so much pressure on her. The one thing I would say is her attitude is brilliant. I love the things she says after the matches. I love her attitude after she takes a defeat very well. And that shows her maturity. From that, I'm sure she will be able to bounce back. A famous prediction I've always said on Game to Love is I don't see her winning anything for the next 3 years. And I said that after the US Open. There's just something about the whole money and fame with her, which I think it's going to be really difficult for her to adjust. And that's not an insult to her. I think she's just one of the most wanted individuals in the world. I really believe that. And because of that, it's going to be really difficult for her to get out of that mode and play tennis. You can see now she's getting deals with Nike, doing some massive sponsorship videos. And the problem is people are going to criticize her for doing that because she's not getting the results on the court. But I don't see really much of an issue because I think you make your money while you can. You never know when it's going to run out. And I'm fully for her doing it. But ultimately, I don't see her winning much for the next few years. I think it's too much to take on for someone like Emma Raducanu.
But do you see Leylah Fernandez winning a lot in the next few years?
Yes, because I think there's been a different approach post US Open. I know they've been going to sort of the same sort of gala. Was it the gala awards? And they've been doing.
There's less sponsorships and all that, though. Isn't there?
There is still stuff. I know she signed recently with Lululemon as well. But the difference with her, I feel that she's got a different the way she plays and her fighting nature. She comes behind in sets. It's a bit different to Raducanu. She can face adversity. I'm not sure if Raducanu has proven ever that she's able to deal with adversity.
Is it true that you would say Fernandez is a better like counter puncher at this point in her career than Raducanu?
Yeah, most likely, definitely,
so. Definitely a better counter puncher. Raducanu does well from like the front. It seems like when she goes behind,
she's got to deal the blows. Raducanu.
She seems like her head seems to drop at the moment, but I don't think we can be too harsh on her. If you can imagine being 18 years old, winning a Grand Slam, you've played about 3 months on the main tour. You haven't even played a WTA event. All you've played is 2 Grand Slam events. That's pretty much it. And you've got to remember this with Raducanu. She hasn't ever lost a match that she's finished at a Grand Slam yet. She has won every single match she has finished. So she has won 11 matches and 1 retirement against Tomljanovic in Wimbledon. That is her Grand Slam record. We're going to find out at the Australian Open if she's a big slam player only at the moment in this. She might just
come
be
on,
good
Ben.
Listen
to how ludicrous that sounds.
I know it sounds ludicrous.
When she loses to Sloane Stephens, it's going to sound pretty ludicrous.
She could quite easily lose to Sloane Stephens, but this is the thing. I just want to sort of point out that when people draw comparisons between Fernandez and Raducanu, I think if you look at their post-US Open play, like Fernandez in 2021, she won 3, lost 2 matches after the US Open, and that was in 2 tournaments. Raducanu won 2, lost 4 matches. She played 4 tournaments after that. She was in high demand, wanting to go around the world to be seen in lots of places. She's been shipped to lots of places, being advertised, let's say. Now she's just stepped onto the court in 2022. She's played 1 match. She hasn't played any matches yet. And her first match is big hitting Rybakina, who is 6'1", massive serving, big power player, just got to a final. And then Fernandez has just played Alexandrova, did really well. And then she got wiped off the court by Iga Swiatek, another big hitter. So I think the comparisons you got to look at, Raducanu hasn't even played a match this year. So I just think you've got to weigh it up a little bit and see who they've played and the sort of the amount of gap they had before they last played tennis. Because I think Raducanu, she's been dealt a harsh card here. Because I even had friends messaging me going like, who's that Raducanu lost to? Rybakina, never heard of her. I'm like, she's an amazing player. Like, you don't
Listen, I'll back you up there completely. I know we spoke about Raducanu's loss straight after on the pod, and I agree. It's not that bad at all. I know it's a bad result, and on paper it looks terrible. But terrible. Rybakina, I'm actually tipping big things from her, and she could even have a really good run at the Australian Open. So watch out for her.
Yeah. Well, it's everything you guys said is complete facts, and she's gone the extreme that we've literally never seen in tennis. Like, again, like she's gone from, hey, it would be nice to have a good match here in the main draw of the US Open. Like, it would be nice to like have like 2 close sets. Like, honestly, probably it's like what was going, and it's fine if I lose. Like, it's a good experience. To now going like, I have to win these matches. Like, in her head, like you know, I don't have to, but it's like people are expecting me to win. People want me to win. I have sponsors, like, and I've just like you said, shipped myself around the world. And I'm not blaming her for any of that. Like, it's you have to do that. She could break her leg or whatever, and a month after this tournament, not be able to play anymore. It's like you got to make money while you can, and she has all the tools to like meet to where her expectations are now. But she used to be here at the US Open, and her expectations were below her level, and now her expectations are like way above her level. Right? It's like,
but that's the one thing that I think that we all need to realize now is she would much rather go onto the court and just have some fun. I mean, if you're like, she's now 19, both girls are 19 now, obviously. And the best thing for her, in my mind, is to try and get a mindset whilst going on court is, you've already won. You completed it. Like you won. You've done something people don't do in their whole career. I mean, it's a bad mindset to have, like, because you don't want that to be your only achievement. But there's no pressure now. No, like you don't have to win another Grand Slam if you don't want to.
So
just
hard
go on
to do
court
that, though,
and have fun, and try not to let like the negative media get to you, because there's going to be plenty of them. That's the problem.
That's what you tell her if she contracted you in to be her mental coach for the week. I think that's great. I think that's sound advice. Yeah, it'd be like, figure out a way, try and go out there and have fun. And a good way to do this. I won 3 million. I won the U.S. Open. Like, I'm good. I'm set for life. Let's just do it. Let's play for the fun of the game from now on. If you can.
One thing I would say, I wouldn't employ Ben as a mental coach. It will literally turn her stir crazy.
It'll be me with a Heineken sitting there.
He should contract both of you to sit there and just go, and it'll make her laugh at least, and it'll make her like relax maybe out there on court. So.
Well, this is
even worse.
How do you see? I'm not the one to pose the questions, but she's got a former Grand Slam champion as well that she's facing in the first round in Sloane Stephens, but Sloane may be slightly distracted. She's just been away. She just got married, and she hasn't played since the end of November. So she hasn't played any matches. Is this a blessing in disguise, or is this just an amazing player that she's going to struggle against?
He's clutching. He's doing all he can to prove Raducanu wins another slam.
That's true. Let's not look. Let's just get your opinions then. Let's not look like the whole draw. So, like, what do you think her chances are in the first match versus Sloane Stephens? I think she's probably the favorite.
No, it's evens. It's exactly evens across the board.
But Sloane Stephens hasn't.
Stephens talking from his perspective.
All right.
For him, it's evens. For you, how do you see it, Ben?
I see it as I'd call it evens. I think the bookies have got it right. I think the way that Raducanu's results have gone, you can't make her the favorite. Sloane Stephens, even though she hasn't been playing competitive tennis, she's been playing exhibition stuff. She's still been looking all right, and she didn't do that badly at the back end of last year. I think it's right. I think it's about right. Evens.
Yes,
fair enough.
I see it the same as well.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Well, I think, and then if she gets through there, it leads to this question from our friends at Matchpoint Canada. What do you guys think? Would Raducanu could make the third round, and the majority of the British population might still see that as like a failed tournament if she loses in the third round.
Success, I think. If she gets to the third round and plays, I'm expecting it will be Halep. I want to see that match.
Third round is a massive success. If you can get to the third round, that will be a brilliant achievement for her out of the Australian Open. That's my verdict.
Yep.
Yeah. Agreed. If she, like the tennis people who are like us who are in it and know that it would be a huge success. It's hilarious. It's sad and hilarious, and it's just part of what comes with winning the U.S. Open out of nowhere. That people might look at that who only tune in during the majors and be like, "Oh, she lost in the third round. I knew she was a prima donna." Maybe Piers Morgan will come in and say something. What do you think?
Please don't.
Most likely he will, yeah. And I don't really have much time for them type of people, because ultimately they're just sort of jumping on the bandwagon for things. They're only there when there's big successes. Like a lot of these people, they've never followed Raducanu until she won that match. They didn't even really follow it until until she won it. When she was in the final, they weren't even always watching it.
If they're not subscribed to the Game to Love or the Slice or both, then they're not really real tennis fans. So that's a reminder. If you're here and you haven't subscribed to the channel, it really helps us out. Like the video. And then here, before I let you guys go, because I know we gotta keep it a bit tight today. People might be upset that we didn't talk about any of the other contenders. Who do you guys think are like the top two real contenders on the women's side to win the whole tournament?
Do you want me to go first, Ben?
Yeah, you go first, mate.
So the two I was going to go for, of course, I don't want to try and steal one of Ben's, because I know he's going to go for definitely one of them. But I'm going for Muguruza and Kontaveit. I think they're the two to watch. Muguruza, brilliant at the Australian Open. She's got a really good history there. I feel like if she was able to beat Osaka last year in that, was it quarterfinal or maybe a bit before, I forget what round, then she would have won the whole thing. I think that was like a final before the final, and I've been really impressed. She got to the final of the year before against Kenin as well. So I like her in this event. And Kontaveit, I think sort of back end of the year, arguably the best player on the women's side. I think We've not seen her against Barty because Barty went back to Australia. So I don't know how that dynamic is going to work. She wasn't able to win the sort of race to the WTA finals in Guadalajara. However, Kontaveit is someone I'm a big fan of. I know Gene in the live chat likes her as well. So shout out to Gene. But yeah, Kontaveit and Muguruza are my two.
Wow. Yeah, but I think that we had our end of the year predictions, and I was sort of backing Muguruza, a bit of recency bias due to the WTA finals. I've been studying the draw before coming on here, Stephen, and then I've been having a look down, and I'm sure you've probably seen our predictions for the year, and I really like the draw for Paula Badoza. I really do. I wouldn't say she would be normally my favourite to do well in Australia, but the draw isn't that bad for her. And I think she can probably get to at least a quarterfinal before she starts meeting, well, potentially, obviously got Coco in her section, but I think she can do Coco, if I'm honest. And I think she can probably get past, I don't even know if we'll see Ken in there, but there's Krejcikova in that section for potentially later on. I think she can probably tidy her up as well. That performance in Indian Wells was incredible. And I think if she rekindles that, she could be a real challenger. And my other one, it's obviously got to be the world number one. I think she just looks incredible right now. Ash Barty is, I think if she gets past Osaka, she's just odds on. I don't know if anyone can trouble her.
Yeah, and on Badoza, Ben, I know you just spoke about her. She is playing in the final of Sydney tomorrow. Tomorrow for us, tomorrow morning. I don't know if it's tonight in Australia. I get mixed up with the time zone.
Not good,
against Krejcikova in the final. That's going to be a really good one.
But it's not good that she's playing just before the tournament starts as well, because I had that with Dan Evans last year, and Dan Evans won the tournament before, didn't he? And then he went out first round, and I had him as my dark horse for the tournament.
Dan Evans looked like he was playing some really good tennis until he lost there in the semifinals. Lots to talk about, man. I could talk with you guys for hours. My picks, I would say number one, I was thinking, Ash Barty might be obvious, might not feel like a hardcore pick, but she is the number one player in the world, and this is her home tournament. And then, I don't know. There's a lot for a second one I could pick. I kind of just made up the top two off the top of my head there, but you know what? I got to put Leylah Fernandez in there to go deep. I don't care what anyone says. It's not a very rational pick.
I'm all for it.
I'm irrational, and that's why people roast me.
Just a complete outsider I want to put out on here, just so it's recorded and people don't say, "Oh, you jumped on the bandwagon now. It's too late." I'm going to shout out Coco Gauff's name as well. I think she was good in the first match back against Barty. She did lose. She was up a set and a break, and then Barty sort of did what she did best. She's a top player, world number one. But Coco Gauff, if she can get through that little section against who's in that section? Who you said, Ben? Is it Badoza? The Badoza section. I feel like whoever, I'm on Ben's side. I do like Badoza as well, but whoever's able to get through out of them two, I think is going to make a really good run.
Well, I'm going to give out, if you're shouting out another youngster, I'm going to shout out.
Now.
I'm going to shout out Clara Towson, because if she gets past Annette Kontaveit, I think that she'll do really well. So that's a nice section for her. So
cool.
No, Kontaveit's I like that pick. I think it was JG as well. She showed so much class at the end of last year.
Amazing.
And super, super scary. So that's the fun part about the women's draw. There's so many people who could win it. But we'll both be cheering for Fernandez and Raducanu are, kind of our girls. Someone said earlier up here, just quickly, any similarities between Raducanu and Bouchard? Absolutely. It's like the most similar comparison of all time, I think. Bouchard, obviously, as you guys know, maybe you don't know because she kind of was out. No, you guys would know who she is.
Yeah.
She's Wimbledon final as a younger, and then just blew up, kind of super beautiful as well as Raducanu, and that kind of made her that stardom like extra crazy. And then the game, she just didn't have it worked when she was playing, but that's a whole nother story. But and now she's got some injury issues. But good similarities there. Anyways,
I'm not seeing much of her of late. The last thing I saw was she was dating. She was trying to date a fan or something.
Oh man, there's endless stories about Genie Bouchard. I tried to actually interview her at the Vancouver Open, which is it was like a challenger, here in my hometown. She totally shut me down. But then later I was sitting in the meeting. She literally just walked past. I was like, no, it's like if you get shut down in a big crowd, it makes sense. But we were behind the scenes, and she just I was like, hey, I was like, hey, Genie fan, can I do a quick interview type thing? And she literally didn't even like say no. She just like looked at me and just kept walking. I was like,
oh no, ghosted.
Something to keep in mind, Ben.
Sorry, yeah.
Sure, that happens.
She's injured. She's dating a pro football player. She's rehabbing an injury right now. But
okay.
I don't know how much left is in the tank there. Anyways, boys, I'm excited to cover this Australian Open alongside you guys. It's I think the YouTube coverage of tennis is now, I don't know, arguably taking over the mainstream media, and I think this is where it's at. So happy to be in the trenches with you guys, and probably averaging about 5 hours of sleep here for the next 2 weeks. It's going to be savage.
Oh, it's a lot, mate. You're doing well.
Power to the tennis YouTubers. That's all I want to say.
Agreed. Yeah. So yeah, if you're watching, make sure you guys subscribe to Game to Love. Check them out for watch alongs, and obviously subscribe to The Slice, and stay tuned for more coverage of the 2022 Australian Open. We will blast it out with our video. See you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Welcome to the Australian Open.
Oh, that's a beauty.